Hi everyone! Today we have our next Agfluencers, and I am so delighted that you are watching us today. But before we will go to the conversation with our guest, I would like to remind you what we are doing here at Agfluencers. At Agfluencers, we are telling inspirational stories of women in sustainable agriculture and forestry. And in our past videos, in our past conversations, we have done so many interesting and discussed so many interesting things. I am sure today's conversation will be even more inspirational for you. And I am glad to speak today with Honorable Dr. Indrani Kakati. She is ARS Fellow Alumni, and we are glad to welcome you, Indrani.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Maryna, for this opportunity. Thank you for inviting me to Agfluencers. I am very delighted to be here and to speak to you. I'm not that big. Don't call me honorable.
Oh, thank you so much, but that's true. But let's you know what we can do. We can start just from the early beginning, and as usual, what we are doing, we are going probably back to childhood, or maybe young years when you are 16 or teenager. So, how did you get this idea to go into agriculture? Tell us, please.
Yeah, sure. So it's interesting. In the subcontinent that I have grown up in, I am from India. So back, I'm a millennial child, millennial kid. So back in our times, we never knew of any option like agriculture. The most common professions were either you go to study medicine or do engineering. So which is what I'm an accidental plant agriculturist.
Okay. That sounds interesting. Yeah, okay.
I was actually wanting to become the medical student and a
Oh my
doctor.
God, some hospital lost such an incredible talent. But anyway, we are glad that you are in agriculture. Okay, Indrani, yes. And what was next?
So it so happened that we have to clear our entrance examinations, and
Uh-huh.
some in the waiting list didn't get through. So I didn't. The next upcoming subject was biotechnology, and
Mm-hmm.
then I said it's a new subject. It was very booming back in 2004 or 5. So I thought, let's give it a try. It's a new subject. It will have a lot of. I never knew anything about like plant biotechnology is different from medical biotechnology.
Yeah.
Now it's a new subject. It sounds interesting to me, and it's related to bio. I love biology, so let's do it. So that's
Uh-huh.
how I into enrolling myself for a biotechnology degree, which is a 4-year course. But it so happened when I applied, I came to know it's the plant biotechnology, also called as agricultural biotechnology in here in India. So it's a 4-year degree course in the university. So I completed that, then I applied for, and then I developed an interest automatically because I was always a nature lover somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
My childhood, I always used to like plants. I used to like gardening. My parents used to love gardening. I used to enjoy gardening. Somehow in the 4 years, I decided I'll study further, and then
Uh-huh.
I for my undergrad entrances again for my masters, and then I got through a good rank in a good university. So I did my 2-year post graduation, and then it's so on and so forth. Applied for next thing PhD. So just to mention, my mother is an academician too. So she
Mm.
as a college. As a college, oh god, I forgot the word, principal, and she
Ah,
retired.
college principal. Okay.
Yeah, she was retired as a college professor. So
Uh-huh.
the thing for education was always there. So all I wanted since childhood was to be a college or a university professor.
Oh,
Very
yeah, like your mom. Yes, moms are our people from from the heart. So we need. No, I also absolutely agree with you that this. Sorry for I just jumped from our topic, but I absolutely adore this idea of following the mother's step, and it's all about grandma, the mother, and yeah. But you actually not far from it actually now. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, that's about it. So I did my PhD. I got married. I did my PhD. It was a long. Your PhDs are long in India. It takes around 5 to 6 years. But in the meantime, I also had my child, so it took another year. So somehow one thing led to the other, and
Mm-hmm.
then PhD. I applied for colleges, and I was working as a project scientist with one of the agricultural universities in India after my
Mm-hmm.
PhD this offer from USDA-ARS, which is United States Department of Agriculture, and ARS is the research wing of the USDA. So basically,
Mm-hmm.
they work on like problems which are of national importance. They call in scientists from different fields, and they actually work together to solve agricultural problems.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
On this point, what was what was the focus of your research and your work? Starting from your PhD, and then you moved to the USDA, and then. So it's very interesting also to see how was your interest as biologist, as plant biologist, were changing during your career.
Yeah, right, right. So my PhD dissertation, I was working on plant insect interaction, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So always interested in solving some kind of a problem. So by nature, I like solving problems. So I didn't want to take up any topic which just gives me a degree and
Mm-hmm.
no solution or nothing at all, at least some preliminary results so that someone can work on it. So I always like to be a value addition and a problem solver. So when I got selected for my PhD, I was very clear that I wanted to work on some problem which is either disease resistance or pest resistance, which solves something which I can solve out kind of, or very less work is done on, which is why
Mm-hmm.
when I and in India, the topics are mostly given by your supervisor, your PhD
Mm-hmm.
supervisor. So I was given a orphan crop, which is called black gram, which is a pulse crop actually. It's not grown that much and it's not worked on that much, and which
Uh,
actually eventually I was in some cases in loss because that leads to very less citation in terms of because hardly people work on it, and I am like, okay, no one works on it to help me probably find. I took the
okay.
challenge, so I probably love challenges. I never realized when I took it that it would be that challenging. So
Yes,
uh,
sometimes it happens.
it was black gram. It was a pest called it's a storage pest. It was a
Mm.
bruchid. So bruchid beetles, they affect the crop in the field. They start in the field, and when they are harvested and kept in the godowns,
Mm-hmm.
because we have a humid climate here because we are in a tropical nation, so they
Mm-hmm.
eat up the seeds inside. So it was very hard per se. I took the job of finding out genes of disease resistance genes in
Mm-hmm.
black gram seeds, and the seeds used to be matured, so to extract seeds and to get the beetles to infect the seeds to perform the
Okay.
yeah. So eventually the whole point was to perform transcriptomics, RNA
Uh-huh.
sequencing, and find out the genes that are involved for disease resistance in black gram. So
Uh-huh.
we didn't use RNA-seq back then. I used an approach called SSH,
Mm-hmm.
suppression, which was another approach in those times. And we figured out a few genes, and I'm happy to say now the work is still being continued. One of my juniors, when he joined, he did the RNA-seq of a few things. Now they are coming up with, they're still working on. It's like an ongoing project.
Oh, that's very nice that your heritage, it's not like heritage which is in the shelf and everyone forgot about it. It's growing and it's continuing to move. But tell me also, please, in the United States, I think you have a different focus or not?
Yeah, it was different in the sense now when I came to US, it was
Mm-hmm.
most with plant disease, phytopathology. So earlier I was working with plant insect. Now I was working with plant disease. I mean plant microbe interaction. So it became so the study was again the same. It was just a difference of the element, like there it was
Ah, okay.
now it's a pathogen. So the
Uh-huh.
enemy pathogen now, no longer the pest. So, but then I had to learn a lot because I didn't come from a microbiology background then. So I did learn all the assay tests and all. So this work basically was on the cacao, on
Mm-hmm.
chocolate plant. And so we have the lab that I was working, it's sustainable perennial crops lab. So they deal with perennial crops like cacao, coffee,
Mm-hmm.
tea. So mostly in this lab is known for the pathogen genomics and plant, this kind of work which have been very well recognized throughout the world. So my task was basically to again, characterize the transcriptome of both the leaves and pods, like the fruit of cacao,
Mm-hmm.
and against a very deadly pathogen which you know very well, that's black pod rot or
Mm-hmm.
Phytophthora carnivora. It's also called as PPAL. So we were trying to in the 5 years that I was associated with USDA, all that we were trying to do is that there have been studies, but there have been not clone specific studies. So
Mm.
initially we started with leaves of cacao. Normally
Mm-hmm.
people study the pods because pods are the one which are affected
Oh
most
yes, like result. Result is here. Yeah.
everywhere. But actually, the Phytophthora infects all parts of the cacao plant. It infects
Ah.
the
Okay.
infects, like infects the fruits more badly, but
Mm-hmm.
also and leaves can be used as proxy for pods because to pollinate pods in the green house, sometimes it's difficult and the seasons and all. So we started initially with leaves and we did infection on the leaves with the pea and then we identified like a lot of genes, and we also identified like gene blocks like which actually now can be used as markers, like we can use them for breeding disease resistant crops. So
Mm.
by those
Okay.
resistant genes from leaves, and we identified from three clones, like a susceptible clone, resistant clone, and some and one clone which was an intermediate. So that was
Mm-hmm.
our study. The pod study went more big, and that was done during the entire pandemic period, 2020 2021,
Mm-hmm.
and had site restrictions because it was a federal lab. But somehow, by God's grace and support of my supervisors, I could finish that, and we worked on 7 clones now of cacao pods. Now, cacao
Mm.
pod is it's bit complex, like the whole how do I say, the pod transcriptomics. The cacao pod transcriptomics is challenging because
Mm-hmm.
not all the fruits, not all the flowering happens at the same time. Not all the
Mm.
ripen at the same stage, and we were working with like a particular age of the pod, and we were
Mm-hmm.
trying to look at the disease after the disease is established, like after the pathogen infects, like the post penetration,
Ah, okay.
what kind of resistance is shown by cacao pods in all the different clones of cacao. So that is one
Mm-hmm.
of the studies that have been done so far in cacao pods in so many clones, like in seven
Mm-hmm.
clones is a huge data set actually.
Yes, I mean that it's all about the big amount of data which you need not just to collect but also to analyze and even to give some results based on this analysis. So yes, it's quite interesting, and I hope that as I understand, you have finished this part that type of work. Yes.
Yeah, so this final result was we identified cacao genes. We also identified promoter motifs, promoter elements, basically. So that was
Mm-hmm.
one of the finding of the study from few of the clones, and now that is ongoing for future probably transgenic research. They are trying to use those genes basically, which we
Mm-hmm.
have
For their
found.
work.
And also the promoter elements that we found from the induced genes, like from the expressed genes in a particular resistant clone. So if we can take out something, and then that will support our future efforts to breed
Mm-hmm.
breed black pod resistant cacao. So that's the
Mm.
thing. Again, there is an addition. I hope so. The work is so my job was to just find out genes and from both the leaves and pods. And also I was associated with a team of scientists from Ghana, and I was working with another
Ah, okay.
foliar disease. which is called thread blight
Uh-huh.
disease.
Uh-huh.
It's a foliar blight, and it
Uh-huh.
happens mostly in Ghana. And we had a lot of association with all this work, actually, a collaborative work with many lands.
Yes. Yes. It's always about like teamwork of international,
Yeah,
let's say, consortium when you
yeah,
have people everywhere and you are still working. But again, I believe that all this teamwork is such an important thing, especially for science and for scientific discoveries. But also, I know that you have another very interesting role, and you are working at the Plantae. It's not official work, as I understand. So tell us a little bit about that part as well.
So yeah, my association with ASPB, which is the American Society of Plant Biologists, it started back in 2022 when I
Uh-huh.
applied for ASPB Plantae fellowship, and then I was selected to be. It's a 1 year fellowship. Basically,
Mm-hmm.
it's something you volunteer. This helps you in, of course, extending your network. You learn about how to, do good research, and then you meet people, and you basically host, enhance your skills. Those are kind of the things you enhance your writing skills, your speaking skills, and then it's a 1 year thing. And I joined there, and I did some good work, which is why I got selected as an ASPB Plantae editor 2 years later,
Uh-huh.
for 2 years, which is from 2025 to 2027. So
Mm-hmm.
it currently I am the Plantae, one of the Plantae editors. Actually, we are four of us, and it
Mm-hmm.
is evolving. So two of them are going to complete their 2 years this year, and then we will become two of us are going to complete in 2027. So where we are mostly concerned with outreach and
Uh-huh.
patient outreach efforts, writing, kind of summarizing good scientific work out to the scientific community, give it out to the scientific community. So yeah, and we organize webinars for people's education. We also do a lot of group discussions.
Mm-hmm.
We summaries. Yeah, so it's pretty. Actually, it's a very learning experience. You get to meet with the authors of some papers sometimes, and and you get to discuss the good scientific work they have been doing. So yeah, so it's a
I
good.
think it's a lot of self-education as well, because it's never predictable who will be your next invited guest for your webinar. So you need to prepare, and you need to read the papers, and you need to prepare some questions probably. But I think it will be helpful as well to put the link. So I will put the link below this video, and whatever I will share it, I will add the link to Plantae and maybe other ladies who are working in plant science. They will be interested to join and to read more. And yeah, because we are here today actually to spread knowledge. It's
Yes,
our goal and it's our mission.
yes,
So
absolutely.
so far I see that you have a very busy but very interesting career. And my question is about challenges. I understand that as we have already spoken with so many women, and they all mentioned that challenges is like vital part of any success. So I would like to hear your opinion about your challenges as the person who have achieved such a lot and good achievements in plant science, and you have done good scientific background. You have it. So what is the main challenges for women in plant science?
Yeah. Um, of course, everyone will have their own share of challenges. I can only speak on my behalf, but I think challenges are good. There will be
Okay.
challenges in life. There will always be challenges in life. Even life, even that ECG monitor is
Oh
like,
yeah.
up and down. It's not
Up
linear.
and down, yeah.
Yeah, it's
And
not.
good that not straight, because if you
Yeah,
are straight,
exactly.
then that's
Exactly.
it.
Exactly. So it's not linear. Nothing comes in straight line, I believe.
Uh-huh.
I have had my share of challenges, of course, and but then I think somehow by divine's grace, and I have had the support of many good people, be it my professional, network, or my supervisors. I mean, I would never want to see it as a bad thing.
Uh-huh.
I have always tried whatever challenges come my way. I have tried to accept it gracefully and then go on to the next step. and then try to never give up on any situation, however hard, however tough it is. So yeah, but having said that, there are two challenges probably I can say which I have had. First is the challenge to when there was the pandemic. So
Okay.
during the pandemic time, I had some tough time balancing my personal and professional life because
Mm-hmm.
I had a very young kid
Mm-hmm.
whom I had to keep busy in a small apartment.
Oh
So
yes,
yeah,
I can
and
imagine.
I
Yeah.
was worried for his safety and security, and I was alone in a foreign land. US has been very more than, it has been more than accommodating for me. I have had some very good friends who have helped me in that tough time, so no complaints, but that was a challenge to balance between personal and professional. And the second was when I finished my contract with USDA, and I had to take decision to be with my aging parents, and
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to spend also have some personal time for myself, for my mental space. So the challenge has been to now get back to good work, our next big project. So yeah, so this kind of things, they happen. You have to take a call sometimes. And I would
Mm-hmm.
really like to tell all the girls, all the young girls who are probably listening to this or will probably listen to this. So it's part of life. Sometimes you have to give your personal life preference, but it's okay if you take it. You do not have to feel guilt about it. It is completely fine to take a break, and your mental health is the most important, because as women, we have a lot of roles to play. So
Yeah, so
yeah,
many hats. You just don't have time to change all of them. Yeah.
and especially there is a growing thing which I would really like to mention through this podcast, Maryna, because you are a woman yourself, is that mostly many of the girls, they don't go for further studies. Like, they stop after one point, and then they take a job, but they don't take research, or they think it's very demanding, and they think it is going to affect their personal life. But actually, it will not if you plan properly. It will never
Mm-hmm.
affect you. Even if you have a
Yes.
small kid, please go ahead with further studies. That's what I want to say for those
Yes.
girls who want to further study. I'm not asking you to force yourself to study study if go for higher education. But if you really want to go for higher education, please don't give up, especially from countries like ours. I have seen many girls who have given up because they have the peer pressure, societal pressure to marry, have children, which is
Oh
good.
yeah.
You should marry, you should have children, but try to do
But
all this.
Indrani, I understand, absolutely understand this thing which you mentioned regarding marry, get your children, and go to your kitchen. Because even I don't judge my grandmother. She's a golden lady, I must say, and she's very important for me. But on some stage of my life, she said me, "It's enough to study. When you will get married finally?" Yeah, it
I
was
know
supposed to be
that's
my life. I know.
Yeah, that's pretty common in most of our age group people. That's pretty
Yeah.
common. But we as parents are not going to do that anymore to our daughters. But yeah, it's. But then what I want to say is that people will always find a way to, especially with women, it's common. People will always judge, and why this and that, even
Yeah.
family members. But I think if you really want to do something, you should go ahead and do something. It might take you some time. There might be
Uh-huh.
delays, but you will eventually get there. Just have faith in divine and keep doing good, diligent work.
Indrani, the next question is just up on this. So, where to find energy and efforts not to look at this judgment? Forget about what everyone else says, just move on, move ahead. Where do you find this energy?
I think I'm very. I've always been positive. Like, I
Ah,
was
okay.
born. I think I'm probably eternally optimistic person. So yeah, but then not to negate the fact that I have my own. We all have our own setbacks. It's not like we
Yes.
have our own disappointments, and that is life. Again, I said it's not linear, but the thing is that to look at the bigger picture. That's
Mm-hmm.
necessary. Just look at the bigger picture. Where do you want to see yourself? If you want to
Uh-huh.
see yourself there, so you will not listen to anyone else. You will do that.
Yes.
That's
Yeah,
how
just
I set my
follow your vision, follow your dream, and just go
yeah.
ahead. Yeah,
Follow
that's
the
very nice. And
yeah.
maybe Indrani, maybe you have some inspirational either book in your mind, or maybe some person in your mind who you are just adore, and you it can be maybe individual, nobody knows about this person, or maybe it's a public figure and everyone knows this. So it's just very interesting to know about the people who influence on you to be like you are, to be so positive and so um, straightforwardly looking towards your vision and future. Who them
Yeah.
are?
My mother, because
Yeah.
she was a PhD, and she couldn't do her PhD because I was a child. But then she again did her PhD when I was a teenager, and I used to help her in her PhD work, assembling papers and pages and books, and helping writing
Yes.
research for her. So my mother has been a big source of inspiration for me. Seeing an educated woman, I had that
Uh-huh.
thing. Okay, and she always wanted me, being an only child, she wanted me to be someone who is educated and financially independent. So those
Uh-huh.
are the things, and also balance her, that's her thought process, balance her personal
Yeah.
life. So I have tried to imbibe her, but on a professional level, I would like to mention one lady who
Mm-hmm.
I read about, I think just a year back. I never knew this because I was again going through this break, and then I was getting a little upset about certain things, and then I read about Frances Arnold, the Nobel laureate in 2007. She's a chemistry Nobel laureate. You should read
Mm-hmm.
on. She has had so many setbacks in life, and
Okay.
yet she's doing what she's doing. I mean, then I said, my problems are nothing. I mean, someone like a
This is
Nobel
the
laureate,
point.
yeah, so
Yes.
ours is nothing. We're just crying about nothing. If you read about her, I would highly recommend Frances Arnold, the 2007 Nobel Prize
Mm-hmm.
Chemistry laureate. There was an article on her, and I read about her, and I got so. And now I also saw her yesterday on LinkedIn. She was giving a talk. I'm like, how is she even doing it? And so as a woman, getting inspired by some of a woman who is in STEM, who is such a big person herself, I think, yeah. So
Oh, thank you so much. Now I
yeah,
will also check her biography, and I
yeah.
will prepare some extra materials for spreading around, and just yes, because it's very important. Obviously, our informational space is now over flooded with
Yeah,
lots of information, public figures and people,
yeah,
but
yeah.
sometimes we can just stop. And so you mentioned very specific name. You demonstrated that this lady, she achieved like the top level of um how to say it in English
Scientific thing, yeah,
properly. Yeah, but
yeah,
I mean the top achievement which is
yeah,
possible
yeah,
to get
yeah,
in scientific world.
yeah,
So probably we need to dive in depth and look at her, and
yeah,
point attention through our existing channels, point
yes,
attention to her, and
yeah,
just I believe that other ladies will be inspired with her as well.
yeah,
So thank
yeah,
you so much, Indrani, for this
yeah.
reference. I will
You're
do
welcome.
my job, and I will prepare something about Francis.
Yeah,
So I would like to ask my final question. So
okay.
let's imagine now some young lady who is 16 years old, she's sitting in front of her screen and looking and just checking the video which we are demonstrating. What would you like to say to yourself in 16? Tell this now to these girls.
Oh, yeah, that's good. That's so nice way to put it, actually. Yeah, to a 16-year-old, or to myself, who
Yes.
who is a 16-year-old, I would only say one thing. Life will have lot many things coming up, but never give up. Just never give up. Just keep doing what you are doing, maybe in a different way than the previous one. Maybe the first time it didn't work out. Maybe try to better yourself, because I believe the purpose of our life is to better better ourselves, be evolved people at the end of it. So in 16, we will not understand that much, but you just go ahead with whatever your dreams are, whatever you want to be, and never give up, and never let anyone convince you otherwise. And have
Thank
faith,
you.
always have faith, never lose faith in the divine, and always be grateful for what you have.
Thank you so much for this positive mindset and for this vision and for everything you have said before and now. And yes, I'm delighted that, actually, I started Agfluencers as the project to speak about females in business and startups who are focused on agriculture and forestry. But then I realized that science is also like a business, and it's also like a startup. If you are starting the new project, you are developing the design of the experiments, you're doing so much stuff by yourself, and again, you're surrounded by males in most of the cases, and you still have all these challenges which are facing all women in male-dominated industries. So that's why I am so glad that you are started like a new era in my pages of influencers, and you show the reality of women in science, in
Yeah, the
biological science.
pleasure is all mine, Maryna. I'm so thankful and grateful for this opportunity. Through this, if
Thank you.
even one girl from even from Ukraine, maybe because those are countries which are still developing, from India,
Yeah,
developing countries, we are still not a
yeah,
developed nation yet. So girls, even
exactly.
one girl is inspired by seeing this that we can do it and never get intimidated by your the opposite gender, because there will be situations where you might be asked to or you might be just neglected, but then
Yeah.
again, challenges are a part of life. Work your way through it. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much, Indrani, and see you in the next influencers. Bye.
So much, Maryna, again.